What if I told you that the T34 Heavy Tank, armed with the 120mm T53 cannon, a direct predecessor to the famous M58, is actually kind of nerfed in War Thunder? Today, let's compare the in-game stats with the real-world performance. In War Thunder, the T34 Heavy Tank actually has the best AP and APCR rounds at 6.7 BR, even better than the mighty Jag Tiger. Why? Because the Jag Tiger doesn't get access to its sub-caliber 88mm sabot shell like the Mouse does. And while the vehicle model is almost one-to-one, the ammo performance doesn't fully match historical data. For reference, we're using Firepower, A History of the American Heavy Tank by R.P. Hunnicutt, along with sources like Tank Encyclopedia and the Armored Patrol. All of them are linked in the description. Let's start with the T14E3. In-game, it penetrates 187mm at 1,000 meters at 30 degrees. Sounds decent until you compare with historical trials. 198mm at 914 meters, angled at the same 30 degrees. At 60 degrees, real-life tests showed around 102mm, while in-game it drops to just 86mm. For better comparison, I made a graphic showing the difference at 30 degrees from 10 to 2,000 meters, and another one at 60 degrees over the same range. Now let's talk about the T17E1, the APCR. This round had a dense tungsten core and reached speeds over 1,180 meters per second. In US tests, 381mm at 914 meters and 30 degrees, and 318mm even at 1,800 meters. But in War Thunder, it caps at 191mm. That's half the penetration. At 60 degrees impact, it's worse, only 59mm in-game versus 112mm in historical testing. To visualize this, I included graphs for both angles, again from 10 to 2,000 meters. Now here's where things get a little blurry. The T-34 in War Thunder uses the M73 HE shell, a 120mm fragmentation round with 2.4 kilograms of TNT traveling at 944 meters per second. But this round wasn't originally designed for the 120mm tank gun. Historically, the T-15 HE shell was developed for this purpose. It likely carried around 3.55 kilograms of composition B and had a muzzle velocity of 762 meters per second, but the exact specs are still unclear. Other rounds also existed, like the T16 smoke shell filled with white phosphorus and the original T17 APCR. They were real and documented, but whether they were field tested or just stayed experimental, that's still a mystery. To be fair, Gaijin does a solid job balancing tanks in War Thunder. They're also transparent about how shell behavior is calculated, most of it based on the DeMarre and Lanz-Odermatt formulas since 2019. Whether we agree with the numbers or not, this isn't purely a historical decision. It's about balancing gameplay and making these vehicles work in a functional, fair way.